Today, I wanted to talk about something that I never really thought I would say in my entire life. No joke, but I think I'm switching over to Nintendo as my main gaming platform. I don't think I would ever say something like this, and it's not that I'm a Nintendo hater. I do love Nintendo, but I've always been a Sony guy. I've always been a PlayStation guy. And honestly, it just feels a little bit crazy to say, but it is true, and it's been true for a while now. Since having my Nintendo Switch 2, my PlayStation 5 hasn't even been plugged into the wall. And before I explain why, let
Wow.
me just go ahead and say that I love PlayStation. Like I said, I've had every PlayStation console since the PlayStation 1. I've had PSPs, I've had the PSP Go, I've had every PlayStation console ever made. And this isn't going to be like a console war type thing. This is just the honest truth of like where I'm at as a gamer, and the Nintendo Switch 2 just checks off every box that I want. Well, that and my AYN Thor, but that's a video that I already did last week. If you want to check it out, I'll leave it up in the corners. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about why the Nintendo Switch 2 has won me over compared to everything else. There's three different reasons. The first one being portability. There's something just really special and very convenient for me. Being able to play whatever game I want wherever I want. I can play it at work. I can play it on in the car while my wife's driving. I can play it on the couch. I can play it on the toilet. I can play my Nintendo Switch 2 anywhere I want. And on top of that, I can dock it and play it on my TV like the PlayStation 5. That is such a game changer. Now, Sony does have a PlayStation Portal, which you can play your games on the go. And it's awesome. I do have it. But if you don't have a strong internet connection, it is not going to function well. I've been in places where the internet's poor and it's playing at like 480p. The lag is insane, and sometimes it just shuts the game off all the way through, and it's pretty upsetting. But the
Right.
Switch 2 delivers a fantastic experience whether you're sitting at home or halfway across the country, because it's not streaming the games, which that's going to be another video for a different day, because I do think if done correctly, I think streaming may end up being the future of gaming as a whole. But this playing it internally through the system's hardware and software is just going to function better than streaming, because you don't need an internet connection. You want to play a huge AAA game? You can. You want to play co-op with a friend? Pull out the Joy-Cons, separate them as separate controllers. There you go. It's as simple as that, which is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in gaming. That is literally like you take this in somewhere
Yep.
and you're like, hey, you want to play some Mario Kart? And they're like, yeah, how? We don't have another controller. And you're like, hold on, bub. Take this.
Yeah.
Here's this one. Simple. It is simple. That is the coolest thing in the world. Is it a gimmick? Maybe, yeah, but it's a gimmick that works and I use all of the time. It's just so
Right.
simple to be able to pull it out and start playing what. Hold on a second. Let me rephrase that. And speaking of AAA games, I am beyond astonished about how well
Yeah. Yeah.
this handheld
Rephrasing is
plays
understandable.
AAA
Yeah.
games. I just bought Cyberpunk
Hopefully
2077
you guys
and
caught
I'm
that.
playing it for the very first time ever. Well, let me rephrase that again. I played like 30 minutes of it on the PlayStation 5, and yeah, that's cool because it runs at 60 frames per second. But to be able to play that huge of a game at a steady 40 frames per second, it look almost identical, given a little bit of fuzz when it's trying to adjust the resolution. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. It blows my mind every time I do it. I am planning on playing Indiana Jones for the first time and all these other AAA games because I'm switching over to this. Now, is it going to be the highest fidelity? No. Is it going to be the highest frames per second? No. But the way these third-party developers are optimizing their games for this console, Cyberpunk, Indiana Jones, Resident Evil 9 Requiem looks amazing on this. Capcom is killing it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I can play these games anywhere I go. I can play Resident Evil 9 for another 5 times because I've already beat it more than 5 times, and I'm going to do it
Wow.
again because I can take it anywhere I want. And that is beyond
Yeah.
better than playing just on the couch. The second reason is just
I get it.
the lineup of first party games for the Nintendo Switch too. I have 3 kids and I can't just go around shooting zombies and just doing all the crazy things that I've been doing on Resident Evil and Dead by Daylight and all this stuff. I'm now being able to experience gaming with my kids, and there is nothing better than that. Being able to play Mario Kart or any Mario game, Super Mario Wonder, them experiencing Legend of Zelda, which I plan on doing later in the
Of
future
course, yeah,
because I've not
yeah.
played a Legend of Zelda game. I
Oh
played Breath of the
wow.
Wild for like a few hours, and yeah, it was fun, but I just never caught on and kept playing. I moved on to
Yeah,
different stuff.
yeah,
And just to
exactly.
go ahead and say, there's just nothing better than Nintendo's lineup of games, and they seem to have a first party title come out every month or two, while
Hold up.
PlayStation, what are we waiting for? Oh, we're waiting on Wolverine to come out in 2 more months.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Right. So Nintendo can make their IPs come out a lot faster than PlayStation for whatever reason. I don't think it's like a matter of laziness. It might be just because the PlayStation games have more, loops and holes to go through, like, the who owns the rights to the game. Um, they have to make the game like look at a certain resolution, run at a certain speed, have certain updates. The additional features that have to be downloaded, et cetera, et cetera. While Nintendo, because everything is made in house and they usually own majority of the games that come out. Well, like Pokemon, Mario, Luigi, Zelda, Metroid. Because everything's made in house, the process of them adding it to their system is a lot quicker. Um, that's my theory. I'm pretty sure I'm completely wrong, but that's my theory on why they can come out with these games so quickly. And also, Nintendo has this aesthetic, this sort of nostalgic childhood aesthetic, like this childhood happiness aesthetic. Like, they're like Nintendo's like the Disney of the gaming world. And when people go to Nintendo, it's like they become like, 9 years old again. It is, I'm not sure how they're able to do that, how Nintendo's able to do that, but they are really good at making you feel like you're a kid walking into a video game store for the first time. It is they're so talented at that, and that's why the fact that they're making all these business decisions is kind of evil because they're so good at keeping us hooked. But that's again, this discussion for another video. I don't want to pull uh, you guys into so many different tangents during this video. But I understand where he's coming from. I can completely understand the allure of Nintendo over PlayStation. I get it. And of course, I'm pretty sure he's going to get to eventually the decision that PlayStation made to end physical gaming. That was probably physical gaming is probably the only thing that was keeping a lot of PlayStation fans loyal. Now that that's coming to an end, you're going to see a lot more people making videos like this, switching over to a different IP or a different company. That's just again Sony made his choice. But again, I'm still staying hopeful that they can they can save themselves. Um, at least in terms of the eyes of the fans. Maybe not in terms of business, because maybe this is a good what they're doing is a good business decision, but in terms of the long term, um, loyal allegiance that their old school fan base has, and quite frankly, even the new school fan base has, because a lot of um, gamers who are young are starting to go back to physical gaming, going back to their hunting down like those physical discs. It's actually become very, very popular online. It's trending right now, like collecting all the like the old school games, physical games. So yeah, even the new fans, they might you know start to find a reason to drift away from Sony and their short-term business decision of ending physical gaming to make a profit will ultimately become a long-term disaster.
Uh, and just their lineup is just, you cannot compare the level of output of first party games in the quality that they're delivering for the Nintendo Switch 2. The PlayStation 5 maybe has 2 games a year, if not
Mm,
3, and some of them are hit
hmm.
and miss, especially lately. I hate to say that. And then Xbox has Halo that's going to PlayStation and PC. They have Gears of War that's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
PlayStation and PC. So there's really no competition there. But I did hear Gears of War E-Day is strictly console, which is, you know, that might be a game changer for them. Hopefully it is. I don't know, but I want to play that. That does look good. I'm not going to lie. There's something so special about watching my kids play Mario Kart and learning the mechanics and having so much fun. They may not be in first place, but man, they are trying their best. And they're like,
Hmm.
okay, here we go. Let's try one more time. And I've seen my kid, my oldest, go from last place starting out to now fighting his way to the first place, and it's just so special. I Gaming has been a part of my life since I was 4, maybe less, which is crazy, but I've been literally a little kid since I started gaming. So I want to share that with my kids. I want to share that and watch them experience gaming, watch them experiment what titles they like. Are they going to be a Nintendo fanboy? Are they going to push over to Sony when they get older? And they're huge Marvel fans, so they're of course they're going to try out the Sony first parties, but it's just so important to me to be able to watch them grow as gamers and experience that with them, and this has been the easy way to do that. And for my final reason, this is the big elephant in the room. Sorry, I had to share the meme. I think Nintendo shared it, but it is so funny of Mario's the giant elephant. But Sony's recent business practices have been infuriating. But Sony's recent business move of saying, hey, we're going to remove physical media entirely starting
What I tell you,
2028,
I have not
and
watched the
you're
video
just going to
yet.
have to deal with that and buy on our PlayStation Store, leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. Granted, yeah, I do buy a lot of digital games. It's very convenient, and I understand that most of the sales have gravitated to that because they've made it such an easy experience to do. But removing that choice, that freedom of choice, is what really upsets me. There's just something more tangible and better feeling about holding a cartridge, at least, say for the Nintendo Switch 2. This little cartridge, being able to pop this out and slot it in there, and it instantly loading up has been amazing. Now, the game key cards don't do that until you install the software. I understand the whole bad business practice with that with Nintendo, but now looking at game key cards compared to removing it all entirely, it's kind of a little bit different now that you think about it. There's something so impressive about fitting a whole entire game on a cartridge. I don't remember the days of doing that. Starting with the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, they say the full game's on the disc, but you got to go in there and then you have to install that game onto your hard drive because the
Mm.
disc doesn't run it as fast as the hard drive. I get it, but it still feels crappy. I've had problems with this since the PlayStation 4. I've not been happy about that. But with the Nintendo Switch 2, Cyberpunk, I can literally put the cartridge in and start playing instantly. I can
Hmm.
update it if I want to, but if I don't want to, just play it right away. And that is so cool. I miss the days like that, being able to just do that, slot in a Xbox 360 game or a PlayStation 2 game. It's just something I sorely miss with gaming, and you don't get to do that much these days except for with Nintendo, and I respect that. And yeah, the game key card thing is a little upsetting. I wish more companies would spend a little bit extra money to do that. Maybe after this little scandal with Sony, maybe they'll realize how important it is to players and they'll start doing that. So only time will tell, but that is such an important thing to me. I've bought all of my games since the Nintendo Switch 2 physically. There's something about it that I can't really explain that just feels more pleasing to my mind, being able to slot in a cartridge. It's awesome. But yeah, there's no massive installs, no waiting around, and there's no fear of like, hey, maybe in 10 years this whole server thing is going to go down and you're going to lose every bit of money you spent on these games
Hmm.
until they find a way to bring it back. So yeah, this is the big deal. This is important, and I'm all for that. It truly sucks when we as consumers are paying $70 to $80, sometimes $90 to $100, depending on which edition of the game you're getting. Grand Theft Auto 6, Black Flag, all these different games coming out recently, and it's not been new. I've spent like $120 on a game years ago. Like, it's not been new, but for buying it digitally and then the fear of it just, thanks for spending your money, now it's gone. It's
Yeah,
upsetting and it's bad for the consumers. I understand that companies want to reduce manufacturing costs because it does cost money to produce a disc, but maybe if they didn't bite themselves in the foot and make digital games the same price of physical, maybe they could have done that. Now we're going to be screwed over in the end, but still, I'd gladly pay an extra $10 to $15 for a physical release of the game that I own. Maybe not everyone feels that way, but that's just a thought. Maybe they can go to that in the near future. We'll just have to wait and see. That's my rant for the day. I just wanted to explain why I'm switching over to Nintendo. Let me know if there's any third party games that you've tried on this that you think run so fantastically well. I know there's some fantastic games coming out in the future, such as Oblivion Remastered,
mm,
007's coming here soon, which I'm going to play strictly on the Switch too, and there's so much more. But let me know what you all think about this. Let me know if you think I'm crazy. Let me know if you think this is going to be a trend that you see a lot more people doing here in the future. I'd love to hear about it. Leave it down in the comments below. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the
yeah. Check out his channel, guys. Made a lot of good points. He made a lot of good points, and you know, I expected this was going to happen. He's one of very many people who are starting to do this. We're going to see a lot more videos like this. Um, Completely understandable. I'm gonna have all the consoles, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. So I don't really have to choose. I don't really have to abandon anything. I can play whatever I want, whenever I want. But I understand that he's making a conscious choice to specifically choose to, like, remove PlayStation from his life, basically. Um, Simply because of the convenience of Nintendo, and also the fact that he doesn't like their decisions. I get it. I absolutely get it. 120% understand it, and that's just how it goes. That's the market's changing, um, and this is only the beginning. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Keep it civil in the comment section, guys, please. I've been on Ad Clear. You guys have been amazing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.